Have you ever felt like you're just stuck on a hamster wheel? You're working hard, you're doing all the right things, but your bank account just isn't growing? You are definitely not alone. But what if I told you the secret to getting ahead isn't about working harder, it's about thinking differently? Let's dive into that.
You hear this quote from the legendary Charlie Munger, and it sounds tough, right? But he wasn't trying to scare you. He was painting a picture. Think of it like this. That first $100,000 is like building a snowball from scratch. At first, it's all you. You're packing the snow, pushing it uphill, doing all the work. But once it gets big enough, it starts rolling on its own, getting bigger and faster with almost no effort from you. That's the magic he was talking about.
So, before we can even start rolling that snowball, we have to figure out what's stopping us from even getting started. For most people, there are these two invisible enemies that are quietly siphoning money out of our pockets, and we often don't even realize it's happening. Okay, so enemy number one is this silent thief called inflation. You look at your bank account, and it says you have $10,000. Great. But in the real world, what that money can buy is constantly shrinking. So if inflation is at, say, 4%, your 10 grand in the bank just lost $400 of its actual power in a year, and you didn't spend a single dime. It just vanished.
And enemy number two? Well, this one's a little closer to home. It's us. It's those small, harmless things we buy every day. That daily latte, the streaming service you forgot you were paying for, that late-night online shopping spree. By themselves, they're nothing, but add them all up and they create these massive leaks in our financial boat, draining away thousands of dollars a year that could have been building our future.
So how do we fight back? How do we plug those leaks and actually turn the ship around? Well, it all starts right here, between the ears. It's a fundamental mindset shift. It's about deciding to stop being just a consumer of stuff and starting to be an owner of things that actually make you money.
And this is the absolute core of that shift. It's the number one rule of the game. Instead of just thinking, how can I earn more money, start asking, how can I create more value? Because wealth doesn't chase people, it chases solutions. When you solve problems for others, whether it's in a small side hustle or a big company, money just naturally follows.
So once you start earning, you have to know what to do with that money. And the wealthy are obsessed with this one simple distinction. There are only two kinds of stuff you can buy. There are assets and there are liabilities. An asset, like a stock that pays you a dividend, literally puts money into your pocket. A liability, like that brand new car with a big loan payment, takes money out of your pocket. The mission is simple. Collect as many assets as you can and run away from liabilities.
All right, so you've got the mindset down. Now for the fun part, the actual game plan. Let's talk about the simple but incredibly powerful machine you can build to start growing your own wealth. I want you to think about your finances like a championship game. You can't win without playing both offense and defense. First, you play defense. You go through your expenses, you find those leaks we talked about, and you plug them up, cut the waste. Then, and this is crucial, you immediately go on offense. You take every single dollar you saved and you put it to work buying those assets we just defined.
So, what's on your new shopping list? Well, a fantastic place to start is with broad market index funds. Think of an S&P 500 fund. It lets you own a tiny piece of hundreds of the biggest, most successful companies out there. But don't forget the most important asset of all, you. Investing in knowledge, books, courses, learning a new skill, that can have an infinite return. Things like income-producing tools or even slices of real estate through REITs are also fantastic first step.
Okay, now once you get this machine running, there's let's call it a pro-level move that the wealthy use to pour gasoline on the fire. And it involves using a tool most of us have been taught to fear our whole lives, debt.
Now, here is a secret that props up the entire world of the wealthy. It's so simple, but it changes everything. The money you earn from your job, taxed. The money you make selling an investment, taxed. But money you borrow against your assets, that is not considered income, so it's not taxed. This one little rule is an absolute game changer.
And that little rule leads us to this legendary strategy called buy, borrow, die. Here's how it works. Step 1. You buy assets that you expect to grow in value, like stocks or real estate. Step 2. As they grow, instead of selling them and getting hit with a huge tax bill, you simply borrow against that new value. You get cash to live on, tax-free. And the final step? You die. I know, it sounds morbid, but there's a tax rule that allows your heirs to inherit those assets at their new, higher value, and the tax on all those years of growth is just, poof, wiped away.
Now, I know this can all sound like a ton of work, and let's be honest, in the beginning, it absolutely is.
The best way to think about it is like you're trying to spin one of those giant, heavy flywheels. Those first few pushes take everything you've got. They're slow, they're grueling. But once you get it moving, it builds its own momentum. It starts to spin faster and faster, and it gets so much easier to keep it going.
And that brings us full circle, right? Right back to Charlie Munger's point about that first 100 grand. Getting to that first big milestone, that's almost entirely on you. It's your savings, your discipline, your effort. But after you cross that line, something magical happens. Your money becomes your employee. It starts working for you 24/7, making more money all on its own.
And just look at this. This chart shows you exactly what that flywheel effect looks like in the real world. That first 100K might take you 8 years of grinding, but because of compounding, the second one only takes 5, and the third, maybe just 4. You see how the pace picks up? That's your money doing more and more of the heavy lifting for you.
So how do you know if you're on the right track? Well, it's not about driving a fancy car. The real signs are much quieter. It's when you know your investments are making money for you while you're sleeping. It's when a surprise car repair is just an annoyance, not a full-blown crisis. It's when you get more excited about buying an asset than you do a liability. And maybe most importantly, it's when you start protecting your time just as fiercely as you protect your money.
Look, every single dollar you have is working hard, right? This second. There's no escaping that. The only question you have to answer is this: who is it working for? Is it working for your bank? Is it working for your credit card company? Or is it finally time to put it to work for you?